Welcome back to Spotlight. I'm here with my co-host Love, and we are the Spotlight crew. Nope. Welcome back to Spotlight. My name's Dan, and I'm here with my co-host Love. And today we're just gonna dive into deeper. Wow, I really have lost it. I've lost my mojo, man. You give it a shot. Let's see you do it. Let's see. Let's hear you intro us. Run the music.
Welcome to Spotlight. We're excited to connect with you and each other and share our ideas and grow together.
Boom. Cue the music. Anyways, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
All right. The weather is no sun, very cloudy. Like I'm waiting for snow. I don't know if you noticed, but the past few nights I've been waiting for snow. I want snow just because it's winter. I hate snow. I hate the cold, but we're here. So
Tommy
just
asked today. He was like, "When's it gonna snow?"
right?
Because it's already been snowing in Minnesota.
Oh, so you guys are just so used to it.
Mm-hmm.
So he just probably wakes up every like, yeah, snow, shit, no snow, yay. That's funny.
He refuses to wear his winter coat until it snows.
He's got that Minnesota body, like that Minnesota blood. So like, it's like 30 degrees out. You guys are like, shit, where are my swim trunks? I'm like, bruh, where's my fucking my Christmas Story suit, dude? I need to go out in my bubble wrap, man. It's too cold. I'm like grandpop. Our grandpop is he 86?
I think so.
I was just talking to I told Kaylee and she asked what age he was, and I guess. I think he's 86. But he's he's full diabetic. He's and he's still kicking, man. It's like with like him and grandma. It's funny, like our grandmother has dementia, and you give her a glass of wine, she doesn't have dementia. She turns into Graham again, and she will lay down the law. If you're making too much noise, she'll yell it. She'll make sure you shut the fuck up.
I don't know. Recently, I've seen glimpses of her without the wine.
Yeah, and she's more not dementia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's our family in a nutshell. And then there's just a bunch of us who are crazy and nonstop, and yeah, here we are. I'm looking at my audio interface and I'm not seeing the blue light up, but it's very faint. I just hope the audio is good. I tested it out in my headphones. It should be all right. So we can I think we have a lot of things to talk about, but like it seems like we're both just kind of blah today. And I blame the weather. I do have something else I want to talk about. On my way here, I saw two hawks and a blue jay.
Ooh.
And I love nature.
Me too.
Like, I feel I am very, very connected to this. I'm 78% more Neanderthal than most people in this world, I think, based off of 23andMe data. Very proud of that. Now, that also makes me think deeper that I am connected more to Earth because I'm more Neanderthal. And Neanderthal was here before the human. The Neanderthal evolved into the human species.
Homo sapiens came from Africa.
Okay.
And they actually ended up breeding together.
Right. And then the aliens came, gave us consciousness, and now here we are. The Earth is flat.
Oh.
I want to become funnier. Like, all I listen to is comedians, and I love listening to how they put ideas together, and how they. So that's like
I'm so down for it.
That's what I'm working on here. I'm working on I'm just working on my comedic side, and that's what this. I walked in today, and I'm like, yo. I am very excited about this podcast, as always.
Joking with my coach one day, I was like, yeah, I want to be a comedian, but I'm not funny and I have no desire to try to be.
Right. Yo, do you know who Kill Tony is?
No.
Tony Hinchcliffe. So his name is Tony Hinchcliffe. He has a podcast called Kill Tony. He does it on stage in Austin, Texas. He does a live podcast in front of an audience. I mean, it's a big. I don't. It's not a cult following, but just like he's evolved this podcast, a live podcast, into this huge thing. And he does this thing where he puts people sign up. They put their names in a bucket. He pulls a name out, and that person goes up for 1 minute on stage and does their thing. And there's a lot of new people who are just like, it's just I wanted to try it and see where this led me. If the person is like really bad and bombs, like he'll be like, yes, never do this again, please. Don't ever come back up on the stage. But then, like, most of the time he congratulates them, like, you got balls to get up on this stage. I feel that same way where I'm like, I think we talked about it the last time, like, back in school, you have 3 adjectives. What did you put? Wait, did I talk to you about this?
I don't think so.
I didn't. All right, let's do it real quick. And then I want to get back to the nature talk. In school, you would write down, like, you'd be in English class and be like, describe 3 adjectives about yourself. Do you remember, like, any exercises like that? Or, like, where you had to write, something down that you thought about yourself? For instance, me, I used to put, that I was smart, I was funny. Those are the ones that really popped up. I don't think I was, like, young, but, like, I was good looking, I'm sexy. Now I think that, but, like...
Funny, because the ones that I put, that I remember putting, now I'm like, ugh.
Cringy.
Nice is probably the first one I would have put, and now
nice.
I'm like, I don't want to be nice anymore.
Yeah, I don't want to be that person. Fuck that person. And so that was just and so I've been asking people that. I've asked my girlfriend. I think I asked my stepsister. So it's just interesting to see what people see, and it's almost like that was an exercise that the teachers were doing that they didn't know that they were doing to, like, prepare their kids for the future in a way. I mean, I guess that's the point of a teacher. But they were able to kind of, like, set your subconscious up in a way. And so like, now I think me growing up and, like, I know I'm funny and I know I make people laugh. But when I start getting, like, that arrogance about being funny and all that, that's when you bomb and all shit goes downhill and whatever. It's not as natural. So that was just this podcast has really gotten me thinking about, like, back then. Where were my thoughts back then? Because it wasn't until, I want to say 2011, when I lost my dad, where all of my thoughts or all of my conscious self started coming up, and I started to work on myself. The day my dad passed away and I found out he was dead was when my whole world shifted. So where was my head, a week before that, 2 weeks before? I knew where my head was. But where was my head? Like, what were my motivations then? So it's something I continue to ask myself about. So, yeah. Any thoughts on that before we go back to nature? We tangent a lot there.
Yeah, let's go back to nature.
That's what this podcast does, dude. It's freaking unhinged spotlight. Unhinged. Spotlight unhinged. So, when I did lose my father, nature, birds, fishing, just, like, grounds me down every time. Like, no matter, I'm driving down the highway and I see a tree, I'll look at it and I'll smile. Like, it just, nature is beautiful. I love nature. It really has just, I mean, we're hunters and gatherers at heart, if you think back to tens and thousands of years ago, right? You just said...
A little less than 1,000, but yeah.
A little less? What do you mean? We've been around for so many... They just found... I don't know if it was a... I think they just found human remains, like, dating back to, like, 60,000 years ago.
I mean, like, we had communities of hunting and gathering much more recently in the past than that.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I'm thinking very to the beginning of time
Yeah.
when the fucking dinosaurs roamed. Uh, so yeah, I saw two hawks and but they did both. Ironically, it's so weird because like I'm driving and then like out of nowhere my head just turns, and then there's the hawks.
Mm.
Driving down the road, my head turns again. There's another hawk, and they were smaller hawks. So I wonder, my thought goes to I wonder what the fuck they were. I don't know if they were like a harrier hawk or a falcon. One of them looked like a falcon or a peregrine falcon. They're littler and but anyways, they were up just in the sky and they swooped through a bunch of trees and it's just those moments where like I've learned when I'm interested in things like that, and especially nature, whenever I'm like in my head, those things seem to pop up.
Mm.
And so like that's a thing that's telling me, look, it's all gonna be all right, and it grounds me back down.
Mm-hmm.
Ironically, so it's cool that I just love being connected to nature. How about you? What's up with you in nature?
Absolutely.
I mean, you got a cat,
I do.
Suki.
She's the sweetest. For me, I mean, I love nature, but it's one of those things where for me it feels a little bit more significant than just grounding.
Sure.
A lot of times I'll look up the meanings of animals constantly.
Yo, see, this is why it's so good we reconnected. I do
Mm-hmm.
too. All the time.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of I don't do it as much anymore because I kind of know.
Mm.
Because I see the same damn animals because of the area we live in. It's just the same damn animals.
I mean, something as simple as like I had a beetle that was crawling into my window yesterday, and I looked up that specific
And it's
beetle.
cold. You
Yes.
you don't usually see beetles. That's why I'm like when nature and all that. You're just like, why is that beetle here right now? It's cold out. This thing should be hibernating.
Yeah, it's getting my attention for a reason.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Kaylee is connected to ladybugs, my girlfriend, and she saw or we were driving to her dad's on Thanksgiving, and there was a ladybug in her car. How the fuck did it get in her car?
Mm.
Did you just been hiding the whole time and it pops out all of a sudden? So that's yeah. There's a fox in our neighborhood that we live in, and yo, I figured something else. I figured something out. There's been lost cat posts all over my neighborhood, all over like my area. There's just posted cat missing, cat missing. The other night we were walking the dogs, and there comes a fox running down the road. 110% that fox is killing all of the cats.
Mm.
And I don't want to say anything on the Nextdoor app because I don't want them to catch the fox and relocate it. Because he's a very, very, very pretty fox. Like I can tell it that the fox just got its winter coat. And like, so it's very red right now. And like has a really poofy tail. I know 110% that's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the reasons, like, I keep Suki inside.
Yep.
Where we used to live, we would have, like, black bears coming in through the backyards, and you had lots of foxes from the farm fields. We had coyotes, like, and even here, there are other animals out, but even just cars, and it's healthier just to keep your cats inside. Keep them neutered and keep them inside.
It's funny. Everybody in my life that I know all keeps their cats inside.
Mm-hmm.
Very few people. I mean, the Marinellis, our not extended family, but our part of our family, they had a cat, Nelly, who was just, he would look both ways before he crossed the road.
Do you remember when they got them and we were playing in the basement with the laser pointers?
Oh my God, I don't. But I remember like it's something we would do.
Yeah.
100%. Fuck. Wow, we're so like we're evil in that regard. We want to save these animals' lives, but then we're just like, you ran into the wall. Yeah. So I love nature. Nature's a wonderful thing, and I like.
Yeah. In the last year, I finally got back into hugging trees, literally.
Oh, weirdo. Weirdo alert. Just kidding.
If
I've
you've
hugged a few
never
trees.
felt the connection to a tree that way, go try it. Don't knock it till you try it.
I agree. Trees are pretty nice. I my one of my dreams is to go to uh California and
Mm,
hug a sequoia tree.
hmm
No cap. No cap. All facts. No printer.
I'll be on that trip.
I really like that's my only purpose to go out west is to go and see nature.
Mm.
I don't give a fuck about gambling. I don't give a fuck about going into LA and seeing all these fucking stars. Like, I don't
I think it'd
care.
be cool to like do a little camping trip in the desert too.
Or go to Burning Man.
Oh, yeah, there's that.
Just go do drugs and I heard that's a crazy experience. And a lot of famous people go to that shit too. Like
I feel
everybody
like
just
if I were to go
unwinds.
to something like that, I probably wouldn't imbibe. That's something I would rather do more ceremoniously on my own.
Yeah, like you need to do it on your time when you feel it when
Hmm
So here's another dream is when this podcast takes off and we start making bank because of all of our wonderful audiences and our beautiful sponsors, rent a camper, big camper, and travel America from campground to campground. There's these things called KOAs where they're just like truck stops but for camping. They're
hmm
campsites. And it's like a membership fee and you just show up to any of them. We used it when we were racing dirt bikes and that was the it just was such a you get up and like you get in late night, you wait, you whatever, you you wake up in the morning, you just get that fresh breath of air. You look outside, you got fucking neighbors who weren't there last night who pulled up even later, and they're up, and you say, hey, what's it? It's just like, God, I love it. I miss that life so much.
Mm.
Just to travel. When I raced, I had the opportunity to be with a bunch of. They're now professionals. They've always been professionals. Um, but yeah, part of that. I'm part of that OG crew. Uh, and it just was such a. It was great racing. I mean, unfortunately, I deal with a lot of injuries now, but the traveling of it was just so fun. Traveling is just so much fun. What about you? Do you like travel?
I love to travel. Like one day, I would prefer to just be a nomad.
Yeah. Like you just want to just. There's times where I'm just like, fuck all this. I'm out.
Hmm
And like I create this whole plan in my head, and then something pops up, and then I forget about it. It's kind of disappointing. Uh, yeah. Sometimes I just want to just drop it all and just move on.
Mm.
But that's not. It's no way to progress in life.
I mean, for some people it works, but there's a lot of stuff around that lifestyle that I think needs more awareness. This whole like movement of like tiny homes and van life, it's been very glamorized.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and it's actually stealing a lot of resources from houseless people who really need them. And
How so?
so there are places where, like, especially like you were talking about, like these campgrounds,
Yeah.
there's quite a few places where those were places for people who were homeless to be able to go and like set up a bit of a camp for themselves and have some stability as far as where they were
Like a
staying.
hostel in a way.
Yes. And now like there's no room for them.
Well, I think the issue with the pandemic is that it caused a lot of people to kind of plant them to root themselves
Mm,
where they're at because they're limited now to where to go now, especially with this whole the third fucking booster thing coming on. Um, it's just really limiting. Kaylee had a friend who was forced to get the vaccine if she wants to continue to work at this company, and so she got the vaccine a few days ago, and she's had the chills and can't get out of bed,
mm,
and has a huge fever. Um, it's a shame. It's a shame. That's a subject we will, I think, Politics we'll never talk about on this podcast unless it's important and we have somebody on who's into that realm. Then we could grill them and break them down, turn them into a spiritual god. Maybe. Uh, yeah. So we have a bunch of other things we talk about. Um, but do we want to? Let's wrap this up. We'll wrap this up.
Mm.
We're 20 minutes in. We realize that shorter episodes hit better on YouTube, and I think it's better for the audience. And I agree. When I go back and and listen to all this, it's a lot easier to process it. Whatever.
I think it also helps keep us in a container where we're not like bunny trailing too much.
All right.
And having an entire like what should be in another episode.
Um. So yeah. So I mean, I think we covered enough. We covered nature, and that's really it. We love nature. I don't know. Do you have anything you want to wrap up about? Just I guess just staying grounded. Really, I guess that was really the point of this conversation. Was really just staying grounded with nature, or having the mechanics. I feel like I'm using that word the right way. It might not be. Having the tools to ground you down, to keep you grounded. And that's one of my tools is nature. It is like my surroundings in general.
Yeah. It helps you be present where you are and not get lost in your head and your thoughts and
I mean, there's instances where I'm like driving down the road and I'll run into 4 red lights or they'll just turn red. They'll turn yellow and I just miss it. And like I don't like to be I don't want to say I'm superstitious, but like I really, really pay attention to those things.
I do too, and sometimes I blatantly tell them to fuck off, and I shouldn't.
Road rage. Hashtag road rage. Hashtag we're raging.
No, it's more like I'm coming up on like I'm either doing something,
right,
and I know that it's going to cause conflict, and I'm like, but I want to do it anyway.
Well, usually when that happens, I'm like, motherfucker! But I also tell myself, like, all right, do I have to slow down now? Do I have to go even slower than the way I'm driving? Like, getting 4 red lights in a row gets me heated. Mm-hmm. But working myself through that and, like, recognizing, all right, it's just a red light. Maybe I do need to slow down a little bit.
You never know. That could be keeping you from entering a car accident.
Right.
If you're in the right place at the right time.
The universe is doing something for you to do that. And that's what I like to...
Could be that you need to slow down what you're thinking about or slow down the process of making a decision.
Yeah.
Could be a lot of things.
I mean, our world, so our universe is constantly telling us things. Whether if it's somebody else's body language, whether if it's somebody walking by and you have a quick conversation, hi, how you doing? That's it. Like I was delivering food yesterday with DoorDash, hashtag not sponsored, hashtag sponsor us. I took this order from Panera Bread and I don't know what the fuck happened. The bag underneath was really soggy and wet. Ooh. And I'm like, God, it wasn't bad when I left the store, and it got worse as I kept leaving. And I'm like, there was a half a gallon of iced tea. I'm like, is this leaking? I didn't want to open it, but I peeked in to look at the iced tea, and it had the same amount of iced tea in it. And so then I got to the lady's house, and like usually right now because of the pandemic, there's been like rules that if the person says leave at the door, walk away, ring a doorbell, whatever. Or you can hand it to the customer. So it was leave at the door, and I stood there anyway because there was no way of texting her or getting in touch with her. And so I just told her, like, hey, I just want to let you know that this bag is ready to blow, and I just wanted to let you know so you don't pick up the bag and the whole thing, She's like, oh, that interaction with that woman was very, like, you can tell she works from home. I think she might have some kids. That interaction was just so, like, heartwarming. Like that brightened up my day. I wasn't having a shitty day. It just made my day better. And like
Connection. Yeah.
I do an exercise when I get out on the road. Whenever I get up and go outside, I smile. I intentionally smile. And I started my morning out smiling in the car, looking at myself in the rearview mirror. I swear to God, I do it all the time, and it's the best exercise ever because 10, 15 minutes later, you start to feel that happiness.
Mm.
And that's so I think what it led me into is that it led me into conflict, and I dealt with the conflict in the right manner by the way that that woman interacted with me.
Mm.
And so that was very empowering, and it felt really good. So,
Cool.
yeah. So, hey, thanks, guys, for stopping by here on Spotlight, where we dive into deeper ideas. And
Go hug a tree.
Go hug a tree. Go hug a tree. Share, like, subscribe. You better do it. Okay, bye.